Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. And today's project is this kettle, electric kettle, Cuisinart CPK-17. There tends to be problems with these kettles, and mine certainly started to exhibit both of these two very common issues. One is the lid. So what can happen with the lid is the latch sort of stopped working. I press the open button that should release the latch. It sort of does, but you can see it's not popping up. It's supposed to pop up. And another one, it seems to be developing a slow leak. After a while, and we're talking about several hours potentially, if you take the kettle off, you will see the ring of water in here. So that's that. Two things that we want to take care of. So there's going to be three parts here in this video. One is we are going to disassemble the kettle. So that's number one, disassembly. The number two is we'll try to see why exactly do we have these two issues. So diagnostics. And number three, that's the best part. We're going to try to fix both of those and we'll see how it goes. All right, so without further ado, let's start going. All right, so 3 screws at the base will allow us to lift the base base. All right, so 3 screws out. Now the base just pops up, just a piece of plastic, nothing to it. So we'll move it away. So now here basically all the brains of the operation. So if you have any electrical issues, so again, my kettle doesn't have any, and it's not very common, that's where you will need to look. Now you will need to detach the connectors for the LED light here, and for the keys, buttons, like this one. So let's do just that. So that's the one for the LED, small double one. And it's a big connector for the, there you go, for the buttons. So now that's disconnected. That's all good. We're all good here. Open the lid. And you can see, basically, it's wobbling. So that's not how it's supposed to work. It may help before you detach anything else to actually lock it. So you see the latch is locked now, it's in place. And actually now try to pry it while it's latched. And there you go. All right, so that's the top part of the lid, and that's the inner part with the latch mechanism. Because we'll need to remove the handle in order to detach the lid completely. Again, you see the silver part of the handle, you basically need to pry it out. It just goes like that. And there you go. Fish that connector out. That's the LED one. And now the big one. So, yep. Okay, cables are out. As you can see, under the cover of the handle, there are 4 screws that actually attach not only the handle to the kettle, but also the innards of the lid mechanism. All right, so let's take these ones out. And what's left is the, here's our lid plus hinge mechanism. And what's left is the water indicator. You can see there's an LED here just stuck in the bottom of the water indicator. And it's not attached to anything, it's just a pressure fit. I just pull it out, and that's that. That's the LED with the connector. That's it, that's the blue light right there. The rubber plug at the top is just that, so you can just like pull it out. Just pull it. And that's it. And the bottom is actually a plug that goes inside the container itself through what seems to be a silicone seal. All right, so again, long story short, you may see that something is clearly wrong here. And what actually happened, yeah, this tab that did hold this pin and the spring on that, well, the tab is broken, so this part is wobbly and the spring has no action. I actually removed them. Let me show you where the tab is supposed to be. And the tab was supposed to be right about here. And it just broke from there. Oops. So here's our problem. That's a problem with the lid. I don't know if it's the same problem for other people who have lid problems. I can imagine quite likely. So yeah, without that tab or something holding the pin in place, this whole lid is misaligned, and there's only action from one side of the spring instead of two, also misaligned, so that's why it doesn't pop up. Yeah, that's how it should work, sort of, when the latch releases, but it doesn't. And this part, again, we can disassemble some more. That is the part that we should try to fix. Yeah, and there are some gasket inserts here that are just inserted via holes. We can actually remove this one. And here's our broken one that went right here. You can see the hairline crack here. So I already told you the reason for problem number one, the lid. That was fairly obvious. A leakage problem was actually somewhat less obvious, to say the least. Originally, I thought that I had a pretty good idea what could that be. I immediately assumed that has to be seals, right? So we have some holes here that are submerged underwater all the time, most of the time. I assumed that seals like that would be the source of leakage. Well, guess what? I was wrong. So basically, and maybe I will show you, a piece here, which is supposed to be just solid plastic. There's nothing to it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, there is basically like a hairline crack or pit, I don't know, something. And that's in fact where the water is coming out. Again, it's not dripping. It's really just slowly, well, seeps, I suppose. That's the right term for that. Very slow over a long period of time, but it actually does go out. That part is water. You can see it's not leaking, it's not streaming out of there, but there certainly is some. So how can we fix that? So ideally we would recreate this or reattach or plastic weld again or do something which puts the tab back in its place. And we can try to do plastic welding here, like the proper plastic welding. So here's the thing. In addition to this being a relatively small part, which would be kind of hard to do, the bigger problem is you shouldn't really be welding parts that come in contact with food, or at least you should be very careful about that. So what I can try to do is to recreate that tab, or again, not exactly the tab, but basically something that will hold the pin in place using, again, stainless steel mesh that we have seen before, like this. And instead of actually doing proper welding here, just to try to embed it with the surrounding plastic by softening it up a little bit with heat, but not melting it. So that's the plan of attack for fixing the hinge part. For the leaking indicator, you can try just to smear around plastic while heating it up, and that should close the gap, because it's literally like a hairline crack or something. Not necessarily ideal, and I certainly don't want to weld anything on top, because TPX is not something which is, well, you can commonly get plastic rods for. I don't have any spare material for that. Polypropylene should work potentially, it should be compatible, but who knows. But the thing is, like, I think I have a better solution in this particular problem, and that's basically a silicone tape, self-fusing silicone. Very handy to fix leaks in just about anything. And I think in our case, we actually have enough space here to actually wrap it about here. And because silicone tape is pretty thin, there should be plenty of space so it doesn't disturb the actual placement of the whole thing. And again, like for that kind of repair, where again it's really seepage, there's no pressure, no high volumes, no nothing, that should be plenty of enough to take care of the problem. And on top of that, silicone, generally speaking, is inert material, so it's safe to be, well, you don't want to eat it, certainly uncured one, but generally speaking, it's one of the safer materials out there. That's what we're gonna do with the indicator. So that's the next part, is making it happen. All right, so off camera, I jerry-rigged all of this. That's really just a template to align the broken piece. The broken piece with the remaining piece, so they're all level, and the small tab has some support backing here. So like right now, that's just to look at the alignment for the mesh piece. And we'll see how we can try to embed that. So what I would like to do is probably to go something like that, embed it here, and then the tab, and then wrap it around and embed it on the other side. There's not a whole lot of space on the other side, but once it's aligned, that should be easier, and the mesh would be holding one side. I'm gonna try to do the hole for the pin. So here's our pin, and we can actually do it right now, so somewhere around here. Like so. Mesh. And okay, so the idea is we try to put it right in here. And using some cheap soldering iron, and I'm using the lowest temperature, because again the idea is not to melt it, but actually just you can see there's no smoke, nothing is melting here. All we are doing is like pushing the knife into butter, and we're just making sure butter is warm. All right, now the mesh is actually embedded in both the main part and the tab on this side, but as you can see, well, because we didn't weld the part, there's a crack here. So while it's actually pretty good this side it's still obviously not have no strength, not much. So what we need to do is actually to wrap around the mesh like here and attach it here at the bottom. All right, so the painfully slow process of sculpting the tab using the mesh is pretty much done. As you can see, we did embed the mesh here, wrapped it around, and make sure it goes all the way here. So basically, we have a tab now made out of the wire mesh. With the previous tab, effectively just use it like we used it as a template. It's not really doing anything there except providing a shape for the mesh, which is now, well, will be serving a purpose for the tab. So a couple of things. I mean, we'll obviously need to do some cleanup here. What is currently not really done or covered is this channel here. See, there's an empty space here. And right now it's all covered. It looks pretty solid. Remember, there is really, like the plastic part is not connected anymore. It's broken, but now we have a mesh here, which seems to be doing, well, we'll see after we attach the pin and the rest. So that's that. Now it's a cleanup time and reassembly and trying to test this thing. Exciting. So I managed to cut in the groove. I don't know if that's enough, but we'll find out. The gasket on this side fits perfectly, as you can see. Fit here, a little bit on the puffy side because there's a mesh down, but like that should be fine for a little bit tighter fit. And let's try to assemble it back and see if it works. That's fine. We should try to reassemble it and see it in the final product. But we'll need to fix the indicator first. And look what I've got here. So that's my silicone tape. It should be enough to fix our indicator right here. So we'll just need to just take the protective film. And now remember, that's the part that we need to fix. And we need to stretch the tape quite a bit. Ideally, so that the width gets almost half of what it used to be, as you can see. Should be it. So the tape will need to cure for about 24 hours before it kind of takes its final shape, but it's already in place. And as you can see, it's not moving anywhere. So we can actually reassemble it back and then wait until it cures in place. All right, so it should be that. Let's put it all back together. We need to put the small spring for the button, for the open button right there. And then there's another crossbar that goes right on top. Now the silicone seal. I think now it's time to actually attach the handle. And goes our indicator. Do the the plug goes all the way in. Let's not forget the LED. So LED goes back right here. Like so, and then it will go into this hole. All right, and now we can screw it in. Okay, and the inner handle part is done. Look at that. Just like that. Amazing. Okay, we're not done yet. handle is all done. Nice. It still works. All right, so let's finish the bottom part. So now we just need to attach our LED connector and the buttons. Okay, let's go with the buttons first. Like so. And the LED connector, just like that. The back cover, and that goes here, like so. All right. Finished. Complete. All good. And look at that again. I can do it all day. And that's that. The Kettle Repair is done. Well, the lid is clearly working. The water indicator, we'll see how it goes over the next few days. The tape needs to cure for about 24 hours, even if the way it would still work like that, but it's better to let it cure. And I'll let you know in the comments in case it didn't work for whatever reason. So that's that. Hit a like, subscribe, and let me know if you like more content like that, different content. I will put an extended version of that repair on a separate channel, so link would be in the description, where I'll go into more details. Why am I doing things the way I do, and how in more details. And with that, I hope you liked it, and see you next time.